Hi everybody, it's Honest John again. Now, in the past week there have been some pretty horrifying attacks committed by radical Muslims. And they've been encouraged by jihadi websites. And it is likely that there will be more. But there will also be school shootings and shootings in malls and places of business that will have nothing to do with religion. We have plenty of stupid and fanatical people in this world of all stripes. Eric Frame, the Pennsylvania shooter who targeted police, was motivated by an ideology that is much like Ted Cruz's and the Tea Party's, and not Islamic at all. And he's a Christian. The hundreds of mass shootings that we've had here in the U.S. have almost exclusively been perpetrated by Christians. The killer of Dr. George Tiller was motivated by his Christian faith. And so was Wade Michael Page, who shot up a Sikh temple. But there is no anti-Christian hysteria here. The FBI is not conducting sting operations at Christian churches. So let me be the first to say that it is unfair to lump all Muslims in with the evil men who committed the most recent attacks. But I also have to say that there is something about Islam that seems to appeal to potentially violent, dissatisfied, disaffected people. The Abrahamic religions all have their origins in the same place, the Middle East. And there is much in the Christian Old Testament and the Torah that is primitive and savage, just like the stuff that's in the Quran. But for centuries, Judaism and Christianity were centered in Europe. And these religions were forced to adapt to the society around them. Europe did go through its theocratic stage, but eventually the governments there became secular and the church's influence waned. In the Middle East, we have countries that are officially Muslim countries. And even when they are not actually run by religious leaders, Islam has a tremendous influence on the laws and practices. So the culture adopted to Islam, not the other way around. So, in a sense, Islam is stuck in the same place where it began. Islam doesn't have the moderating influence of a New Testament, for example. So in these Islamic states, we have laws that make it illegal and even punishable by death if you stop believing in Islam, if you convert to another religion or become an atheist. In these countries, women who are raped are charged with adultery and not treated like victims of a crime. And in many of these countries, government-sanctioned thugs are allowed to go around beating up women if they don't like the way they look. So even though most Muslims just want to live normal, peaceful lives and wouldn't dream of performing violent acts, you have to say it's a much shorter step from mainstream Islam to the radical type. So even though we will have sudden outbursts of violence by non-Muslims, only a very small percentage of those acts are likely to be motivated by religious faith. But when Muslims commit violence, they most likely will be doing it in the name of Allah. The attacks will be designed to attract as much attention as possible, and the press will dutifully focus in on them and their religious motivation. And this will make it much harder to be a Muslim in the Western world. Fear, suspicion, and hostility will grow. And even the most moderate, gentle, and peaceful Muslims will find themselves under a cloud of suspicion. They may find themselves targeted by right-wing Christians who, when you think about it, don't think much differently than radical Muslims do. And these acts will invite reprisals. And it will be a really vicious cycle. If there is one thing all religions are good at, it's that whole eye for an eye thing. So that sounds pretty bleak, but if there is an upside to all of this, it is that more and more people will come to see religion as the destructive force that it is. Whether they become atheists or continue to be believers, they will turn away from the churches and the mosques and pay no attention to the so-called religious leaders. And eventually, if that happens, the world will be a lot better place. Thanks for listening.